Hello everybody, I'm Stacy with Stacy's Organizing and Decorating for Life, or stacyforlife.com. I'm here to help you organize your thoughts and decorate your perspectives. So today we're going to continue on our March Madness series on grief. The first video was a qualifier explaining to you how I experienced my own grief and what made me want to help others with their grief. The second video we discussed a little bit, we expanded on the first video. I talked a little bit about religion and grief, and then the second video we talked about belief systems. Where did these belief systems come from in our first experiences with grief? And then in this video we're going to go even further to expand on having a different consciousness, because maybe some of those first experiences with grief no longer serve us now. So we're going to look at consciousness, and then my experience with grief is really what has expanded my consciousness to a great deal, because when we start looking at mortality, we start wanting to become aware more so of why and how and where and everything else, more in touch with what's going on. We get serious about life in general and in itself. So if you like that that's our topic today, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, but even hit the bell when you subscribe, because every once in a while I'll sneak a video in on you and not share it on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. But you can also follow me on those channels too if you haven't already. So let's get started into the pre-birth plans, or the soul agreements, if you will. So in sharing on that today, I ask you to expand your awareness a little bit. So with that being said, I'm going to ask you to look at consciousness. And there's many different forms of consciousness. Like, my grief has caused me to expand my knowledge of what goes on in this world, how this world operates, how we get along, and I'm going to read the definition, because oftentimes we think we know the definitions of stuff just by our experience, but we don't know the technical terms and definitions, and it helps to guide us when we're making and creating our maps through this life. So, consciousness is a state of being awake to one's surroundings. It's also the fact of awareness by the mind of itself and the world. So, as I said, there's different kinds of consciousness. There's an inner consciousness that I would describe as our soul. So that's our soul consciousness. The outer consciousness is that of our body. So that's our material consciousness. So it's integrating those two together and bringing about humanity, our soul's purpose and such. So we're going to delve into that today. What this suggests is having a what-if kind of mentality. So we're all willing to believe in guardian angels or other beings out here in the universe, extraterrestrials and stuff like this. And so, and I think that's all great, because this is an unlimited universe, So I ask you, though, to even expand a little bit more on this pre-birth agreement thing. So bear with me. This is how I came to believe in pre-birth agreements, pre-birth plans and soul agreements, is because, as I said, when I lost my son in 2011, and I was sitting in my life coach office, therapist office, and I was asking how does this happen? Like, my first ex-husband has caused much drama, mayhem, and chaos and stuff, and yet he's still, free to walk this earth, and everything, and trust. There's forgiveness there, because even that in itself was a soul agreement that I had to learn from that experience. Grief is the one that will bring us to our knees, to where we really become open. We really question mortality. We really question everything that we thought we knew, right? So that's why I ask us to kind of look at where we were at religiously on this, our belief systems, how we learned to experience our grief, because now we're going to expand into the pre-birth plans. So if we can believe in guardian angels and other things outside, and the thing is that in our humanness, we are all so self-centered and ego-driven. I mean, that's just part of it. That's the challenges that we take on in this life, is in that we may think, I know that I did, is that our guardian angels, many of us think that our guardian angels are just watching over us, that it's all about us and everything else, that they don't have relationships outside of us. But what if they are indeed souls? What if they have these relationships going on out there in their existence and their being, that we don't know about. Like when babies are born and they're looking up and they see all this stuff, we always wonder, what are those babies looking at? And we're willing to say that they're entertaining with angels. But what if those angels too have their relationships? Hence is where our pre-birth plans and soul agreements come from, is these relationships already established through our souls and everything. So what if we did pick our parents? What if we did pick things? So what I'm suggesting is that when I explain consciousness to you on that soul consciousness, what if, because I believe that my son was in my consciousness when he was conceived, as well as he's still in my consciousness, hence my behaviors. So when he was conceived, I flipped the script. I changed things. My life changed, but he didn't know that that was going to change. So then I get into, as I shared in the second video, the codependency, and we're taught as a society kind of a sort of codependency. So I was fortunate that I was able to kind of be able to have my own individuality as well as being a parent, if that makes sense, is to know that, like in the poem that I shared last week by Khalil Gibran the Prophet, the poem on children, that my children come through me, but they have their own thoughts, they have their own dreams and visions, hence that the other souls have their own free will too. So we forget all that, because how are we going to remember? We can't even remember, like, many of us believe in everlasting life, and we don't know what that exactly looks at, and I'll touch more on that in a minute, but we don't even remember our own birth. So are we going to remember our soul life or past lives or what have you? Many of us can, and that's very talented and gifted, but for the majority of us, we don't remember those things. People like me can't specifically remember those things. Some things may seem familiar to us. We may have a calling for it, some kind of mystical feeling with something, but we just can't place our fingers on it. So that is a part of the soul agreement, is that, we're bringing that in and receiving that from whatever our consciousness is. So then, that's why I behave the way that I behave now, because I believe that I'm still consciously connected to my son. So what I do, say, and be today is still expanding to him, and I want him to be okay. So this is why I'm willing to share my experiences with you and such, to try to help you, so that you too understand that you can still have and maintain that relationship or that consciousness of that person or people, because each time somebody leaves us to transition, go to the other side, not only are they transitioning and transforming their existence and being, but our souls also transform its existence and being. We're still connected. So my soul is still connecting to things in the soul world, as well as in extending out into the human world, what I draw to myself. So I'm just suggesting, even in this day and time when y'all are sitting in front of the TV and watching, if you sit there all day watching that about sickness, you're drawing in that kind of consciousness. So what I think we have to do, is to extend ourselves to be well, mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally, is to have gratitude and to find that in something. Being able to get on social media is a gift of sorts, because I got on here and I see art and I get to share the art, and because even if you can't leave the house, you can look at that art, look at these different places, look at pictures of different places and of nature and such, and still it makes our souls shine, I believe. Music, I got to watch the video on the Italians playing music off of their balconies, and people standing on their balconies receiving that, and gratitude, and it even brought me gratitude way over here down in Mexico, so it's what we choose to see, be, and believe is what, helps us create and continue. So with that being said, I said I would go back to that. So I'm thinking like the what, and one of the pivotal changers for me in my consciousness is to watch that movie, What Dreams May Come. So I'm not saying that people if you have near-death experiences, you're probably experiencing what your belief system, what your mind already believes to some degree when you go to the other side, if that makes sense. So what we picture the other side to be like is really important. So I'm just asking you to kind of expand your awareness. There's many great movies on grief, like What Dreams May Come, The Shack, and it just offers us a moment to see things in a different way than what we're taught. And that's what I try to do with bringing you these videos as well. Sorry for the Grinch being excited in the background. I hope it's not too distracting, and the wind blowing and stuff. But these are all really good things too. So with that being said, I hope you have a good rest of your week, no matter how you're experiencing it, that you can find some kind of gratitude. Look at the pretty things. Look at things that make your heart go, and try to find a balance. Yes, we have to be aware of what's going on in the world, but we don't have to take everything on. There's other things going on in the world too. So we get to be on the side of our soul, which is, I believe our soul is an expansion of the source, our supreme being, whoever you conceive that to be, and what the source, do we believe in what the source can do for us, or are we going to buy onto the ship of what the world is selling us, the sinking ship, the Titanic? Which one are we going to feed? Are we going to feed the hungry wolf, or are we going to feed the wolf that's content, that's laying by the line, that's laying by the lamb? Which way are we going to be? What kind of consciousness are we going to have? Are we going to come out of fear and scarcity? Are we going to come out of love and abundance and come together in humanity to share what we have with others? So with that being said, I hope this has been helpful. I hope that you kind of got a better understanding of pre-birth plans. I encourage you to continue to delve into it. Like I said, that's how I came to learn about it. It was my life coach and therapist presenting me with it, and it's really expanded my awareness to a great deal. So I wish you all that. Thank you.